Yeah, hello? Yeah. Oh, sure. If that's something you think would be cool, I could totally build that. Yeah. Oh, you want me to make a video about it? I mean, I don't see why not. Do you really think someone would like to see that? Okay. Sure. Yeah, totally. I'll do it. I'll do it right away. Yeah, I have the camera rolling actually right now. Yeah, I'm looking right at it. Yeah, probably someone watching. Someone. Yeah. No, I won't tell them. Don't worry about it. I'll keep you out of the video. Yeah, sure. I said don't worry about it, okay? Fucker hang up on me. Anyway, we're gonna do something really interesting today. I bought these last year. You might have seen the video. Bunch of bags with these small little circuits in them. And it's a tiny little LM386 amp. And it's basically, that's the name of the chip. And there's a little circuit built around it. And you can see a video that I made where I took two of these and put them in a pedal enclosure. And it made a sort of fuzz pedal. We're gonna basically do that again. But in between the two of these, we're going to add one of these two tremolos. This is a pedal that I made a couple of years ago or something like that. And it's basically just two tremolo pedals in parallel. And you have two different speed knobs and you can mess around with it. And I feel like it's time to move on from this and make it into something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these circuits from this pedal and we're going to put it into this new pedal and create this weird thing that is hopefully going to be interesting and fun and be a little bit different, because this experiment that I used this pedal for is a fun and interesting thing, but I've already done it. I've made a video about it. I've had the pedal, I've played with it, I've done all the work I need to do with it, and now it's time to move on. So we're going to take it apart and we're going to build this pedal out of it. I'm just quickly going to take this apart, take out the circuit, and then we are going to move on to crazier things. Okay, first of all, this is how they come out of the little plastic bag they come in. There are a couple of things we are going to do to them before we get going with them. First, we're going to clip off the legs of this. You can see them right here. Just take your snippers and cut them. And then we're going to bend these legs. And we're going to bend the first leg labeled VCC. And then we're going to leave the leg called in alone. And then the first ground here, or the second last leg here, we're also going to bend. So it's basically going to look like this one here, where I've already done those things too. I've left the legs sticking up like this, and I've bent two of the legs down, like so. The reason why is because we want to attach cables to this that will go to a bigger potentiometer so that we can use one of these to adjust it. And this is just an experiment. I'm going to have two of these on each side of the actual pedal, and you're going to be able to adjust this gain or whatever you want to call it before the tremolo, and you're going to be able to adjust it after. So I'll be back in a second once I've done what I've done to this one. Okay, so here's the pedal at the moment, and all I've done is I've super glued these two to that one in the middle, and it's just because it keeps them together and falling around inside the pedal enclosure, making a mess. And I've also hot glued a piece of tape, thicker kind of tape, almost cardboard kind of paper to the back. And I think I said in my last video where I used these that I super glued the paper, but I hot glued it. One of these things, I think was just, you know, a slip of the tongue or whatever you say. Right now this might look really messy, but it's really not, because whatever kit you use in the middle, you're going to follow the instructions, put it together, and so you're going to have cables coming from it, and you're just going to ignore these until we put things together. And it's basically labeled like in and out and power and lead and things like that. I have cut 6 little jumper cables like this, and I just measured them to be the same length as the one that holds this together, like so, basically, because we don't need them to be any longer than that. And I'm just going to put them in place. And basically, if you look up here, one here and one here and one in the middle. And you don't really need to care about how these go together. I like to cross them, so that's what I'm going to do. And then the one in the middle here is just going to be connected to the middle leg here. It's the only connection you need to actually think about. I want to point out another thing as well, and that is I measured these trim pots again. And on my last one, I said that they were 700 and not even 1K. But this time I measured them in 10K. So I don't think I did a mistake the last time. But I think that maybe they do come with different values or something. Or that they are made differently somehow. Or maybe the last one was broken. I don't know. My point is, measure them and use something that works. Don't blindly follow what I say here, because there might be some difference. So I'm going to solder these legs anyway in place now. And hopefully you can see me do it. I'm going to show you one leg. It's just going to be heating up the parts because we have pre-tinned them. So we shouldn't have to do more than just hold them in place and melt them together. There they are. And I'm going to do the other one as well. And then I'm just going to basically take the middle one here to the middle. And then I'm going to cross these over like that as well. But that's more a question of taste. Okay, so now we're coming to the part where things are going to get maybe a little bit tricky. So this is going to be where the signal comes in from your guitar into the pedal from the switch, which we'll get to in a bit. And that's the in. So this cable here will go to the switch and be the in. And then it will come out here. And so on this out, we need to attach this in from the middle pedal. We are going to tighten this screw here, which will secure the cable in place. Sound goes in, comes out, and goes in here. And then the same thing here. It comes out here. It says out on the PCB. That's how I know. And here is the in. There, we'll solder it in place. Basically like that. I hope you can see it. It says out there, and there it goes to the in. I've also pulled the cable, which I don't know if you can see, but it says VCC on the PCB, and it's pulled all the way around. And I put it in this little groove here because it felt natural. And I put it up there, and then I've pulled it all the way around here and attached it at the same place as the 9V, so that I only will have to have one cable going to the output jack. That should basically be all there is to it. We are gonna attach some of the ground wires, and then we're gonna put this into a pedal enclosure. So be right back when I've thought about how to do stuff. Okay, so here is basically the entire pedal right now. I've connected a ground wire that goes here, for example, because I have so many ground connections here. I pulled one of the ground connections there to there and over here. Then I have these two ground connections here that are going to go to the jacks. And I have this ground connection coming off here that is going to go to the ground on the DC in. And I'm going to have to connect one more ground because I need one to the switch. But other than that, we're just going to pull things over here. This is where the cable goes in to your guitar. We're going to use this pedal. It's an old project, and if you've watched my community posts, you will have seen that I was trying to build a weird thing and it failed. Or actually it didn't fail, but it wasn't interesting enough to make a video out of it. So I'm reusing the work I did in the beginning. Anyway, your signal comes in here, and here you can split it to either go to this under row or the over road, and then come back out here. And so we need to connect to the PCB. We need a ground in the middle, and on the upper here we need a ground to the LED, which is down here. I've hot glued it in place, and that's this gunk you see here. And it's just because I'm using one of these tiny little ones that you can see right here. And then from the PCB there will be two cables here that are, you know, the in and out. And we just have to make the in be on this side, because that's where we plug it in, and the out be on this side, because that's connecting to the output jack. And we also need a plus to this right here, because that's the plus of the LED, but it's on the PCB, this thing here, and it's labeled. So it shouldn't be any problem. All we need to do is just solder everything in place and add one ground connection, which I really don't think would be a problem, but we're going to see what we can do. So I'm going to start off here with the in signal, and I hope you're going to be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm basically just going to melt the solder here in place so that they get connected like so. And then I'm also going to add a tiny little cable here into the middle leg of this lower row, which I hope I'm going to be able to show you that I'm doing. Basically here where the green cable that goes into the pedal comes to the switch, it also connects it to the middle on the last row down here. And it's just because I want the LED to be connected to it so that the light turns on when the pedal is engaged. Same thing here. We're just going to add a little ground here. And then I'm just going to try to pull this cable here. And it's going to be kind of hard for me to show you, but this is fiddly work. You'll see it in a second here. So it's basically a ground wire here to there. And then we need to put the out cable on the opposite side, right here, like so. I'm gonna try to show you what I mean. I hope you can see it. There's the switch and all the 9 little legs. It goes in here, goes there, jumper cable over, goes in to the pedal, comes out of the pedal, goes to the jack. You've already seen me do this 100 times, or maybe you haven't, but I've done it 100 times at least. So, I don't know. Hopefully you can figure things out. And now here we have to just figure out which one is the LED, which is this one, and pull it over here and attach it to the actual LED. And I think it's about time I actually add these knobs. Building one of these, I think I showed you it in Guitar Builder's Life Hack video, which is my build series of tools that helps me out. You can find a playlist on my channel, and not to plug my own things too much, but it's maybe not the most fancy thing, but the things I show you in that build series are really useful when you're making guitars, which is not something I always do, but it's what I make the most of. So I want to keep these two on each side, because if you see here I have 3 holes, and I want to keep the actual effect of the pedal, or whatever you want to call it. That might be a bad description of what I'm doing, but I want to keep that in the middle. So I'm going to try to see if I can do that. Pull it in and put the washer on. And then we're going to attach the ground wire, and I'm going to try to pull these cables through in a way that lets me do this in the most convenient way for myself. And this part, I'm probably going to cut this down a bit, because it's going to be really hard to show everything, and I feel like I'm wasting time with just showing me putting this in. And I obviously can't tell before I am watching this in editing, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if this is in, I clearly didn't cut it. But if it's not in, I did clearly cut it, and you don't get to hear me even say this. So I don't actually know what I'm saying. I don't even think I know what I'm doing. But I'm basically just attaching wires, like right here, for example. I have the red cable that goes to the DC in, or power in, and I'm just melting the connections together. And that should be it for that. Now I just need to pull these 2 ground wires here, and this is messy, I know, and I'm gonna try to close this up afterwards, which, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. But these ground wires, they have places to go and people to see, or something. I don't know what I'm saying. Trying to make a joke. And I'm basically just attaching ground wires where they're supposed to go. Okay, so I think I can pull this over and place it like that, and that should be pretty flush when I put the back on. But we have one thing left to do that is super important for this to work, and that is we need a ground connection in the middle that goes to the PCB. And I actually don't have a spot to connect this ground wire, so I hope that this is going to work. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have to come back and open the pedal and fiddle around with it to figure out where else I can put it. And I'll, show you that if that's the case. But if it's not the case and this actually works, this is going to be the last connection. And I'm just going to pull the wire over here, try to measure out how much I need, and cut it off, cut it a little bit longer because we need space to strip the wire, and pre-tin it well, which is, if this is the first video you're watching of mine, which I really hope this isn't, because this is not really a how-to, it's more of a just experiment. Obviously, if you learn something or you're having fun, that's good, but I'm trying to just blast through this to make the video as short as possible and not really teach you anything. But anyway, we have 2 connections here, and one of them is where the green wire goes in, and that's, supposed to where it is, but then one next to it, that's actually just a ground, so we can actually just push this in there, and then we can screw it in place. Or at least I hope we can. I'm just gonna try it and see if I can, because everything is getting kind of a little bit fiddly right about now. But no, that worked pretty well, I think. So now I'm just gonna press this in place like that, and put the lid on, like this, and I'm going to attach the screws. So there it is. I am gonna quickly now just go and plug it in and mess around with it real quickly. Make sure it works. If it doesn't work, I'll be back and we'll open it up again and see what is wrong, and I'll try to figure it out. And then I will talk to you basically about the next thing. So here is the pedal right now, and this is what it looks like. You'll get close-ups pretty soon, and hopefully agree with me that it looks crazy. So this is the control layout. The pedal goes in, it has a first gain, then a speed, and then an out. These two are the same, and that's why I made them look the same. And this is the speed. Completely different, so a different knob, basically. And I don't know, I thought that these looked kind of like Pikachu eyes. I don't know. And if you don't know who Pikachu is, it's a Pokemon. And yeah. So I put a little mouth on it, basically, to make it look a little bit more like a monster or a killer. It's an evil pedal. But anyway, here it is anyway. We're going to plug it in and we're going to play it, listen to it, see what it does. I've already checked it because I was a little bit unsure about some of the grounding in it. And I needed to plug it in and see if it works. But everything I've shown you is the way it's supposed to be. It works. So at least there's no issue there. I have no idea what to call this pedal. It looks weird. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Come up with a fun name for me. If you have any questions or you want me to do another video on this pedal and deep dive more into it, because I'm sort of glancing through things here because I've already shown you how to build pedal kits, and I've already showed you how to follow instructions from ZHITING, which is where this kit's come from, and there'll be a link in the description. And I've already shown you a pedal building with these two. The only difference there was that I only switched out the control on one of them and I put them together and had nothing in between them. So yeah, it's sort of like something I've already done, and so I don't really necessarily need to do it again. But anyway, you can watch those videos. If there is something you're unsure about this video, I'll try to link all of the videos in the description below that I'm referring to right now. And I'll also do another video about this pedal in more detail if that's something you want. Just let me know in the comments below. And if you see this video like 12 years after I make this video, which would be like 2034, that's 11 years, 2035, whatever. My point is, if you see this video later, check this links below and maybe I've already made another video about this pedal. But if you're from the future, that means I'm from the past. Anyway, we're gonna plug in the pedal right now and we're gonna play it and see what it sounds like. Just do a quick, experiment with what happens when we turn different knobs and go crazy. And yeah, just listen to it. And maybe you like it, maybe you want to build it. You can switch out the tremolo effect for anything else. I think that something weird could be really fun to add in there. But also something more useful, maybe like reverb, could be really interesting to see what would happen and how it would affect having a mix between the different stages. I don't know. I'm starting to run out of these. I have about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 left. So if you have any fun idea for what I could do with 5 or something, then talk to me below. And maybe I'll build something more fun out of it. I could always do another one of these with some other pedal in the middle, but I feel like it's an experiment I've already tried now. So we're going to play around with that. Anyway, until next time, stay awesome and cool and go and build a pedal. Something fun and interesting that is cool and makes you want to play guitar more. Just make sure you don't build some weird, cursed, evil pedal that is alive and that is out to hurt you and kill you and that wants to eat your soul.